This is the Gerry Callahan Show.
Well, there's been a lot of tough days for Democrats, for the media in the last 9 months as Trump piled up win after win. But I think I'm going to repeat myself here by saying this might be the toughest. Yes, Donald Trump announced last night a historic peace deal in the Middle East. It is being roundly applauded, even among mainstream media people who hate him, who are always looking for a way to criticize, to nitpick Donald Trump. But they're having a tough time with this one. Yes, the people who for the last 2 years have called for a ceasefire in Gaza, beginning on October 8th, 2003, by the way, are either throwing up their arms and saying, he did it, he did it, he did it. He did something no other president has been able to do for decades, or they're conspicuously silent. Yes, the people who said ceasefire now are saying nothing about the ceasefire now and the peace deal that is coming together as we speak. I just checked. Nothing from Ayanna Pressley, nothing from Ilhan Omar, nothing from AOC. That speaks volumes. That silence says it all. They hate this. What are they going to do now? What are they going to march for? What are they going to demand? If indeed this thing comes to fruition in the next few days, if indeed Hamas lays down their arms, which to me is the most important item in this 20-point plan, if Hamas indeed disbands and spreads and scatters for sanctuary somewhere else in the Middle East, if there is no more Hamas, what are they going to say? If the hostages come home on Monday, as Trump announced, and we see those celebrations, we see those families reunited. Hell, we see them get to bury their loved ones who've been held in Gaza for 2 years. I can't get this out of my mind, though. What is the deceased, the corpse, look like when they get it back? They want it back. They want to bury their loved ones. They want to give them a proper burial, and they're apparently going to get that. I'm sure that's the emotions are conflicted when they get their loved one home. But if the hostages come home and there's no more hostages, if Hamas lays down their arms and there's no more Hamas, what are the people in this country who've been screaming for peace, screaming for a ceasefire, a settlement in the Middle East, what are they going to say now? And by the way, what are they going to say tomorrow if Donald Trump gets the Nobel Peace Prize? They announce it tomorrow. They are meeting as we speak in Oslo, trying to decide who will get the Nobel Peace Prize. There are 338 people who've been nominated. Trump's been nominated like dozens of times by everybody, by the Pakistanis, by congressmen, by Netanyahu. Obviously, he should get the Nobel Peace Prize. Obviously, he desperately wants it. But you know what? I think it might work out better for him if they slight him, if they stiff him on this one. It'll be like, the people like, it'll be like, Kurt Schilling, who obviously belongs in the Hall of Fame, but is kept out because the voters just hate him, or some actor who never gets an Academy Award, even though he deserves it. You become a martyr, a Nobel Peace Prize snub that will mean even more than actually getting it. But we will see tomorrow. I doubt he's going to get it. I mean, it's obviously a political award, and they hate him like everyone else hate all the Euro weenies hate him. But we'll see. He really, really wants it. Here was the announcement. Trump, by the way, found out that the thing came together while he was meeting in that Antifa roundtable, and we'll get to that, in the White House. Just an amazing event where they have these independent journalists, these young kids that are on the street with their cameras. They had those people in a roundtable while the mainstream media, all the networks that refused to cover Antifa, stood in the background and just watched. We'll get to that. But he was conducting this meeting when Marco Rubio came up, gave him a note, and then whispered in his ear. And it looked just like when George Bush, when Andy Card whispered in his ear to tell him Al-Qaeda had flown planes into the buildings in New York. Same thing. But this is different. This is great news. This was historic. So he posts to Truth Social. That's where you get all these earth-shattering announcements now on Truth Social. He writes, I'm very proud to announce that Israel and Hamas have both signed off on the first phase of our peace plan. This means all of the hostages will be released very soon, and Israel will withdraw their troops to an agreed-upon line as the first steps toward a strong, durable, and everlasting peace. All parties will be treated fairly. This is a great day for the Arab and Muslim world, Israel, and all surrounding nations in the United States of America. And we thank the mediators from Qatar, Egypt, and Turkey who worked with us to make this historic and unprecedented event happen. Blessed are the peacemakers. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States. Now, when you look at the details of this, it is maddening. It is frustrating. It is just perverse. Obviously, they want their hostages back. There are 48. We believe 20 are alive. Some, I'm sure, barely alive. They've been tortured, starved, kept in dark tunnels for 2 years. But it will be an awesome moment to see them reunited with their families, to see them survive this, the 20. But you know what they get back? You know what Hamas or the Palestinians get back? Almost 2,000 criminals, terrorists, including at least 200 who are serving life in prison for murder. As usual, it's a lopsided deal, but you're dealing, again, you know, Trump's dealing with savages here, subhuman monsters who killed babies and murdered women and raped their corpses. We're talking about making a deal with evil, which is why this is so amazing and so historic, and why it has been so difficult for former American presidents, for everybody, to make a deal with these people because they don't care about their own people. They put their own people in harm's way. They want dead Palestinians. It helps their cause, as we've seen over the last 2 years when they lost the war but won the PR battle in the West, when they must have been just so elated to see people marching in support of them, terrorists, murderers, savages, and everywhere, New York and Chicago and London, Paris, everywhere, people marching in support of these savages. Yeah, we will get to him, Harvard's own, but I want to get to the Trump announced it on Truth Social. He went on Fox, talked about it, but there was a moment where Steve Witkoff, his emissary, who's put this thing together, Witkoff and Jared Kushner, his son-in-law, have worked tirelessly to put it together. They were with the hostage families when the news came down. And this is just an amazing moment. These people have just been through hell. It has just been torture. Can you imagine not only knowing your loved one is being tortured, starved, but the chances of them coming home alive were slim. They had to know that. They had to expect the worst. They are now elated and celebrating. Granted, there are 3-4 more days they have to sit and wait in hell, but it looks like it's actually going to happen. They believe it's going to happen. Here's Witkoff talking to Trump on the phone and putting it on speaker and allowing Trump to break the news to the hostage families. What a great moment.
They want to say something. Is that right? All right, hold on. President Trump, you have the best crowd in the world. What do you guys have to say to President Trump?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody.
You did it.
You did it. Thank you.
This is amazing.
Mr. President, we believe in you. We know you've done so much for us.
over the past, since you became a president, and even before that. And we trust you fulfill the mission until every hostage, every 48 of the hostages are home. Thank you so much. Blessed be the peacemakers.
God bless you, Mr. President. God bless America.
Thank you very much. You just take care of yourselves. The hostages will come back. They're all coming back on Monday.
All
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
All right.
That is just an amazing moment. Let's be honest. This wouldn't have happened with President Kamala Harris or Joe Biden or anybody else. This is what Trump does. And I was struck by how businesslike, how serious he was in this process. He wasn't talking and bragging the way he always does and saying, I did this. He was saying, we did it. He was quick to credit Qatar and Egypt and so many others. He was quick to credit Witkoff and Kushner, and he was somber and serious, and it was impressive. This is what he does. He makes deals. He is not an ideologue. There was no ideology here. It was all pragmatism. Like, let's find a way to get a deal done. And you heard it from so many Middle East experts that it was difficult, if not impossible, to do this. They've been trying for decades, for centuries, to do this, and he did it because he looks at it. And again, it's tired. It's a cliche, but like a businessman making a deal, and he was determined to get a deal done. And the White House posted a photo a couple nights ago of Trump working at like 11 o'clock at night in the Oval Office on the phone, just worked tirelessly. He wants credit. He wants a Nobel Prize, no question. But he looks at a problem and says, let's figure out a way to make a deal. That's what he does. Typical politicians are thinking of the political ramifications and their own reputation. And, what are this part of my party's, what are these people going to say? What are they going to say? He just says, what do we have to do to get it done? And he makes deals with all these other countries. The thought of Joe Biden pulling that off is laughable. Joe Biden, in 4 years, barely mentioned peace anywhere. He was a wartime president who wanted war, who inflamed war in Ukraine, in Gaza, anywhere. He didn't care about peace. He didn't dedicate himself. He didn't stay up late trying to make peace, save lives, get hostages home. He didn't give a damn about the hostages. And the thing that makes this so great is they have to admit it. Even CNN, MSNBC, these people who despise Trump, everything about Trump, are just throwing up their arms, saying, he did it. He did it. He's going to do it. We got a few more days here. We got a lot of sticking points, got a lot of issues, got to round up those 2,000 terrorists and put them on buses and send them home, and then make sure Hamas disarms and figure out who's going to run Gaza. A lot of difficult issues to go. But those families, they seem to think it's going to happen. Their loved ones are coming home. The people around the Middle East, the people here in the U.S. are giving up. They're giving Trump credit. They're saying he did it. This is what we voted for. A guy he's devoted to making deals, getting things done, not even, considering, like, how's it going to look? He's looking at it saying, we can make it, we can get it done. And he did. And it's going to be amazing to see hostages come home, to see Israel pull out of Gaza, to see what happens in the future. Obviously, there'll still be these rogue elements. There'll be, be suicide bombers and people attacking buses. But this is what everybody has been begging for, a ceasefire, an end to the carnage. Lots of people on the right got a little queasy. They got a little soft in recent months. The PR battle, the polls have turned on Israel. They had to get a deal done. If you listen to Netanyahu, it feels like he's a little torn. He doesn't think this is the best deal. It isn't. but it's a deal and it's done. And I'll be waiting. We'll be waiting for to see what all those pro-Hamas people who demanded a ceasefire for 2 years. We'll see how they celebrate an actual ceasefire. These are people who hate Trump more than they love peace. And it's going to be hard for Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib and Ayanna Pressley and Rachel Maddow and Chris Hayes to give Trump credit, but they're going to have to. They don't have a choice. And we'll see about the Nobel Prize tomorrow, just under the wire. It'll be better, I think, if he doesn't get it, because it'll be a joke. It'll be just a joke. That is, that award is, whoever gets it should go out on the stage with a clown nose and clown feet, because the whole thing is a clown show if they don't give it to the man who's settled something like 7 wars. And the people in those places like Pakistan and Armenia, they're nominating him. They want him to get it. And the people here in the United States who hate him don't want to get him. Get the announcement he made last night on Fox. Here he is, again, serious, somber, announcing the deal is the initial phase is done. Obviously, we got a few more days, but the initial phase is done. Here he is last night.
It's a great honor to be involved in it. We had some tremendous help, as you know, with everybody from Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner and Marco, and we had everybody. JD, the whole group was just amazing, and the military was, as you know, very instrumental in getting this done. We have a great military with great leadership. The whole world came together, to be honest. So many countries that you wouldn't have even thought of it. They came together. The world has come together around this deal. And that's something I would say that without that wouldn't happen. So many countries that you wouldn't have thought of have wired their best wishes and their commitment to do whatever is necessary. The countries surrounding have all signed. I mean, they're all signed up, and it's been really an amazing period of time, and so great for Israel, so great for Muslims, for the Arab countries, and so great for this country, for the United States of America, and that we could be involved in, making a deal like this happen, because it was, many years they talked about peace in the Middle East. This is more than Gaza. This is peace in the Middle East, and it's an incredible thing.
Bob, look at AOC's tweeting, ripping Stephen Miller, of course. Oh, she's tweeting. She's upset that the Google and Apple have taken ice tracking apps off their sites, that you can no longer track ice. She doesn't like that. She wants ice tracked. Nothing talking about the shutdown. Nothing about this incredibly historic moment. Nothing from my crazy Congresswoman Ayanna. Nothing from Rashida Tlaib or Ilhan Omar. That's good news. They don't know what, they can't bring themselves to say, yay. John Fetterman's the only one. He tweeted about it. He went on cable and talked about it. What a great day it is. What a historic day it is. What historic day it's going to be. I keep saying it in the past tense. We're going to wait till Monday. Monday night, we'll say, there they are. The hostages are home. The deal is done. Israel's pulling back. Hamas is disarming. And Trump actually did it. But we will wait. We're optimistic. We're hopeful. It looks like it's going to get done. And tomorrow we'll talk about the Nobel Prize. We'll know, I believe at this time tomorrow, whether Trump got it. And again, I think it's better if he doesn't. But, all right, we got to get to this big story out of L.A. They found out who set the Palisades fire, which killed 12 people, destroyed 6,000 homes, cost $150 billion in damage. And turns out Democrats were wrong. It wasn't climate change. It was a climate change activist, but it wasn't climate change. And we will get to this Antifa roundtable. I thought this was just an amazing moment at the White House, a great moment. And again, this is something you would never see under another president. We have these independent journalists chronicling their experiences with Antifa. And on cue, CNN comes out in defense of Antifa. Yes, you're not going to believe this. We'll get to that and more, but first.
Excuse me.
As the weather cools, I'm swapping in the pieces that actually get the job done. Warm, durable, and built to last. And Quince delivers every time with wardrobe staples that'll carry you through the season. Quince has the kind of fall staples you'll actually want to wear on repeat, like 100% Mongolian cashmere from just $60, classic fit denim, and real leather and wool outerwear that looks sharp and holds up and doesn't cost too much. That's important. I'll tell you what I love. I love my new suede trucker jacket. It's perfect for layering. It just looks really casual and put together. It makes me dread the coming cold nights a little less. By partnering directly with ethical factories and top artisans, Quince cuts out the middleman to deliver premium quality at half the cost of similar brands. Layer up this fall with pieces that feel as good as they look. Go to quince.com/Gerry for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's Quince, QUINCE.com/Gerry. Free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/Gerry. Remember the Palisades fire, the Malibu fires, which destroyed, as I said, 6,000 homes because of bad leadership? There was an arrest yesterday. That's the good news. They arrested someone. The bad news is it wasn't Gavin Newsom or Karen Bass. It is amazing that Newsom's still out there, that he could show his face. We know the reservoirs were empty. We know they weren't prepared. We know the fire department was totally DEI focused, and they allowed an entire town to burn, people to die. And what did the Democrats do on cue? Said it's climate change, of course. And we mocked them at the time. How absurd. Climate change. Obviously, they have fires. They have a fire issue. Fire was inevitable. The question was, were they prepared? And the answer was, of course not. Well, turns out it wasn't climate change, but it was a climate change activist. Authorities announced the arrest of Jonathan Riddennecht, a Uber driver, 29-year-old Uber driver, and Democrat donor, Democrat voter, climate change activist. That's who set one of the most devastating fires. There he is, right out of Central Casting, and right out of, like a TV movie where he set the fire, then went up in the hills and watched it burn, watched his work. They tracked him down. They got his phone. They know where he was. They know he was lying. They know he was downloading dystopian videos of fire-ravaged places. They got him. They nailed him. And he is facing arson charges. There's going to be more charges. Hell, he killed 12 people. He caused $150 billion in damages. And we knew it was absurd at the time, but it's worth looking back when this happened. And we mocked him at the time again, but here's what you do if you're a Democrat. You see a fire, you see a hurricane, you see a tornado, you see whatever, a storm, rain, drought, whatever, climate change. And I hope to live long enough till we see an end to this nonsense where, you blame people who drive SUVs or use gas stoves or farmers or ranchers. You blame them because of a natural, or in this case, a man-made disaster. Here is we got Bernie Sanders, of course, right after the fire. It's got a picture of the fire burning, and Bernie writes, 80,000 people told to evacuate, blaze 0% contained. 8 months since they have had rain. The scale of damage and loss is unimaginable. Climate change is real, not a hoax. Donald Trump must treat this like the existential crisis it is. Okay, obviously Bernie just doesn't know what he's talking about. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Whatever happens, blame climate change and demand more money to fight climate change. Here's the dumbest man in the U.S. Senate, Ed Markey. As we witness more tragic climate change-induced disasters like the wildfires in Los Angeles, broadcast AM radio continues to be a critical lifeline for people across the country. That's why I'm reintroducing my AM radio for every vehicle act. What? And Markey, he's tweeting about climate change and saying we need AM radios in every car. He is such a cartoon character. And it goes on and on. There's just so many people who tweeted about climate change when this happened. And they're still, I mean, I can't imagine. I don't have a lot of sympathy for LA liberals, and most of the people who lost their homes are LA liberals who voted for Gavin Newsom, who voted for Karen Bass. But you have to feel bad for them. They lost everything. They lost their homes, everything that they own. They lost they lost their everything, their neighbors, their community in these fires. And no one has been allowed to rebuild. I believe the latest is like 2 permits issued out of thousands. They lost their homes, and in normal parts of America, they would already be halfway through rebuilding their home. But you can't do it in LA. You can't do it in California. Why? Same nonsense. Climate change. They're forcing people who want to rebuild, and I'm not sure why you would want to. Wouldn't you want to just get out of there? To follow, new rules in LA. They must be climate resilient. This snake, this absolute soulless ghoul, Gavin Newsom, who caused the fires, who left the reservoirs empty, is now telling people who lost everything that they have to follow his rules to rebuild because, climate change. This is amazing to me. I mean, he should be on his knees apologizing to these people and telling them they can build whatever the hell they want. They want to make it a new and different place with affordable housing and solar panels everywhere and windmills and whatever else. They have to follow his rules if they want to rebuild their community. Listen to this snake.
You can't rebuild the same. So we have to rebuild with science. We have to build with climate reality in mind. And this is the reality, the new reality of extremes, extreme heat, extreme drought. You have droughts and rain bombs. You have flooding at the same time you're dealing with droughts, all happening concurrently. There's a new reality, the world we're living in. And if you're not believing science, you have to believe your own eyes, your own lived experience. We have to wake up to this reality. We cannot be in denial about what's going on with Mother Nature.
God, I cannot believe he's going to run for president. That's going to be the Democrats' nominee for president. The guy talking about droughts and rain bombs. Whatever, droughts, floods, it's all climate change. You got to follow the new rules. New rules. You got to use sustainable this and renewable that to build your own home on your own property. Again, it's California. This is what they voted for, and they'll still vote for this guy. They'll vote for whoever is even, someone else who's even crazier than he is. But the arrogance, the ignorance of saying, you can't build your home the way you want it. You can't have the same home you had because I'm making the rules. I'm the one who caused the fire. I'm the one who left the reservoirs empty. I'm the one who emphasized all this climate change nonsense in the first place. And now I'm going to tell you how you can rebuild. God, that must just be so maddening. Let's get to CNN put the biggest climate change crackpot of them all, Michael Mann, on to talk about, how the fires, the Palisades fires, they were all climate change. It's your fault, in other words. You're the one. Your carbon footprint. You're the one who drives a gas-powered SUV. You're the one who has a gas stove. So it's your fault. And they put this lunatic who's been proven wrong every day for decades on to talk about a fire, not the fact that the reservoirs were empty, that there was no water in the fire hydrants, they weren't prepared, that the mayor was in Ghana when this happened. Talk about climate change, this absolute ridiculous, silly-ass hoax that they've been pushing on us for decades. We're done with it, okay? But here we're CNN after the fires.
I wonder, when you're looking at this, how does climate change contribute to this perfect firestorm?
Yeah, hi, Brianna. It's good to be with you, although I wish it was under better circumstances. We're certainly seeing a tragedy play out. And when we see these sorts of events, these massive wildfires, 15 of the worst 20 wildfires have occurred during the last 15 years in California. And so there's a clear trend towards these faster spreading, hotter burning, more destructive, more deadly wildfires. And as is always the case, there's an underlying factor and there's an immediate factor. And it's the interaction between those two that give you these extreme events. The underlying factor is, as you already alluded to, profound drought, very dry conditions, an extremely late start to the winter rainy season. It basically hasn't started and we're already into January. And there's a key meteorological variable that we look at, which is called the evaporative demand. It's basically how dry and thirsty the atmosphere is, and that correlates highly with wildfire potential. And we're seeing very high levels of evaporative demand precisely in those regions where these wildfires have broken out. Now, the immediate factor, these winds, the Santa Ana winds, and we can't say those.
Never had those, enough of this guy. I don't want to hear from him. And the Santa Ana winds. They didn't have Santa Ana winds before climate change, did they? And the reason they have the most devastating fires recently is because they got more homes. And by the way, the reservoirs were empty. Is that a factor? Climate change. I just want to live long enough. I want to be alive the day we all laugh at clowns like this, laugh at people like Ed Markey and Gavin Newsom and say, shut up. We're no longer paying homage to the weather gods. We're done with your climate change scam. But all right, speaking of I want to get to this lunatic Katie Porter, my new favorite Democrat. But let's do this Antifa roundtable at the White House. I thought this was pretty amazing. For years, for decades, people, Democrats have ignored Antifa because they're their foot soldiers. They're on the same page. They have the same enemies. The media obviously has played along and downplayed Antifa. There was a moment before we get to her. There was a moment where Kristi Noem, Trump was there. He had Kristi Noem. He had Kash Patel, Pam Bondi there. Then they had these independent journalists, and they all went one at a time talking about their experiences with Antifa, being attacked by Antifa. Hell, Andy Noem almost killed, beaten, hospitalized with a brain bleed, beaten by Antifa. And to a man, they all point out that the cops in these places like Portland and Seattle do nothing. Democrat leaders do nothing. They look the other way. And Kristi Noem got in some hot water with the media because she said they're like ISIS, Al-Qaeda. They're just as sophisticated and just as dangerous. Now, I will say it's an exaggeration to say they're just as sophisticated as Al-Qaeda or ISIS, but they are just as dangerous. Hell, I would say they're more dangerous because they live here. They're citizens. They're Americans. If you're in Portland right now or Chicago, or who's a bigger threat to you? These anarchists who are rioting nightly for 100 straight nights in Portland, or Al-Qaeda? Who is doing more destruction in your neighborhood, on your streets? Antifa or Al-Qaeda? So she was right in that they are more dangerous, more of a threat. Hell, they had a coordinated attack of a ISIS facility, El Rado, Texas, I believe it was, where they lured out the ICE agents and opened fire on them. 10 of them, I believe they arrested 15 Antifa killers. They shot one cop in the neck. They missed. They didn't kill. They wanted to kill. They didn't. Another guy went up on a rooftop in Dallas and tried to kill ICE agents. Are they as dangerous as ISIS to us right now? Yes, I would say they are. She was dragged for that, but she was right. They are a bigger threat. They also have protection. We know the police in Portland, the mayor in Portland, the governor in Oregon are supporting them, defending them. We know that. They're not arresting them. That's a problem. That is a threat. That is a real danger to the public when you have elected officials and law enforcement officials protecting the anarchists who are hurting local residents. Do you have this CNN clip? I want to get to Erin Burnett because this was just so telling. They're still going with this nonsense that Antifa is not really a thing. not really a thing. They're just an idea. That's what we heard from many Democrats. They hate Trump so much that they will not even condemn or tell the truth about violent anarchists. And as I pointed out before, these aren't people who are rioting, protesting over an issue, over a policy. This isn't about, demanding, DACA recipients get a path to citizenship or abortion or an election. These are people who want to destroy our way of life, who hate capitalism, who hate America. They're more dangerous than any of these other radical groups who march, when Roe v. Wade was overturned. They wanted something. They wanted, unfettered abortion. These people don't want anything. They just want destruction. They want to destroy our way of life. That makes them a real danger. And the fact that the Democrats, like the mayor and governor in Oregon, are on their side is frightening. And the media, of course, is still, again, because they hate Trump so much, they will defend anarchists. This was an amazing moment. Erin Burnett talking about Antifa on CNN yesterday.
And Trump's Secretary of Homeland Security actually took that further.
This network of Antifa is just as sophisticated as MS-13, as TDA, as ISIS, as Hezbollah, as Hamas, as all of them. They are just as dangerous.
That's pretty incredible, right? Hamas has just been engaged in a 2-year war that we just announced the first stage of a peace plan to a few moments ago. And ISIS? These are incredible things to say. And obviously, I'm not going to sit here and defend anybody who considers themselves part of an Antifa movement, such that it is. But such that it is the operative part of that sentence. Antifa is far from a major sophisticated terror organization like Hezbollah, Hamas, or ISIS. In fact, it's not even like far-right groups like the Proud Boys and Oath Keepers, which have had national leaders, unlike Antifa. There is no organized hierarchy to the group. And according to the Center for Strategic and International Studies, compared to right-wing extremists, Antifa-linked violence is rare and limited.
She's got to be kidding me. That's an actual anchor saying Antifa violence is rare and limited. It's like the Leslie Nielsen meme. Remain calm, all is well. Kevin Bacon in Animal House. We see it, lady. I mean, not on CNN, but we don't need you anymore. We have Nick Shirley and Andy Ngo and Nick Sorter and all these other independent journalists who have the guts to go on the street and report when you won't. You won't because you don't want us to see it. Right-wing extremists, follow up for you, Erin Burnett. Could you name some right-wing extreme groups that are violently attacking U.S. cities right now? You mentioned the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys. Oh, they're more organized. What are they doing to America right now? What are they doing to American citizens, to neighborhoods, to residents, to shopkeepers, to store owners? What are they doing? Are they terrorizing them? No, that would be Antifa. Rare and limited, she says. That is such a striking example of Trump derangement syndrome. They hate Trump so much, they will defend violent anarchists. And you know what? If you sent your camera people into the neighborhoods in Chicago, into Portland, and talk to people like the independent journalists do, you would find out it's real, it's dangerous, it's frightening. They just attacked an ICE facility in Texas. 15 of them. They set them up and they tried to assassinate them. Have the Proud Boys done that? That is just sick. But there was some funny moments. The thing I loved about this roundtable was the media, the CNN and all the fake news. Trump called them out. They were sitting in the back. They had their cameras, their notebooks, and in the front with Trump were these independent journalists, some of whom were like 25 years old. He gave them credit. He gave them a platform to tell their stories. And one after another, they talked about how dangerous Antifa was. And the best one was this woman, Brandy Cruz. She was a mainstream journalist in Seattle for a decade. And now she's an independent journalist. And I'm going to say, when she told her story, Trump lit up like you've never seen him. He loved this. This was music to Trump's ears. Here she is talking about the change she lived through after being attacked by Antifa and leaving the mainstream media and becoming an independent journalist. Go ahead.
I'm living proof that you can recover from TDS. I had strong Trump derangement syndrome for probably 8 years. This is one of the reasons I recovered from it. And by the way, it's much better to not have TDS. I'm happier, I'm healthier, more successful. I even think I got a little more attractive after I got rid of my Trump derangement syndrome. Yes. You know, I'm a reporter in Seattle, and frankly, I could not care any less what any of you have to say about this meeting. Could not care any less. We're not here for you. I'm not here to convince any of you that Antifa is a real thing, because if you have not come to that conclusion by now, you are never going to come to that conclusion because you don't want to see it. And you're going to go and you're going to say it's a bunch of right-wing conservative influencers who are here spinning a tale. I was one of you. I was a mainstream reporter in Seattle for 10 years. I was a TV reporter on the streets doing my job, and I was still assaulted by Antifa. So it's not about being conservative. It's about people who go there and show what they're doing. And when I saw after all those years that the media wouldn't be honest about what was happening, that Democratic politicians wouldn't be honest about what was happening, I thought, well, gosh, if they're not being honest about that, maybe they're not being honest about President Trump either. And it opened my mind to just looking at things for what they were. And now I find you quite funny, actually. Now like I said, I'm much happier.
Trump loved that so much. I just love their calling them out because it's true. I mean, CNN, MSNBC, ABC, New York, they have so much more resources. Most of these people, they're on their own, or maybe they have a cameraman, and they go into the streets in Portland and Chicago and report and show us what's happening. And they have rendered these CNN clowns useless or shown them to be the propagandists that they are. And that was great. Her calling out her former colleagues in the mainstream media. But it was just great the way they separated them. You frauds, go over there and, you can watch, but you're not involved here. And one after another, these independent journalists were great, talking about the beatings, that stuff that's been thrown at them. They talked about the safe house in Portland. There's a safe house for Antifa, a block from the ICE detainment center, where they all go in, they rest, they shower, she said. I'm not sure they do that, but they eat. And Bondi and Noam kept pointing out, we're coming, and Patel, we're coming after the money. And they named, George Soros and all these other left-wing outfits that are paying for these riots, paying these anarchists. And I believe Patel and Bondi are coming after them. That's going to be great to see those people get arrested and brought to justice. Someone else, I would really love to know why this person has not been arrested. As we talked about yesterday, in the last couple of days, there's been nothing more sickening, nothing more repulsive than watching these demonstrations, these protests, these riots in New York City. Hamas flags, Allahu Akbar chants in New York City. We showed you yesterday the mob of hundreds of these Muslim fanatics getting down and praying in front of Trump Tower and chanting Allahu Akbar. And again, supporting Hamas, supporting the savages who murdered 1,200 people, including Americans. And in our biggest city, you had these people demanding more October 7th, on October 7th. And when we've talked about, free speech issues many, many times and made it clear, even though many politicians don't understand the First Amendment, the First Amendment covers hate speech. It covers ugly, nasty speech. It doesn't cover incitement to violence. Someone has to explain to me why Abdullah Alki, a Harvard grad student, yes, a Harvard student who leads the protests on Harvard's campus, all the encampments last year and all the anti-Semitic speech and attacks on Jewish kids on Harvard. This is the leader, a grad student at Harvard in New York City on 6th Avenue, demanding more October 7th. Here's that the millions, billions we send to Harvard. This guy's probably on scholarship, for Christ's sake. It's sickening. Here he is in New York City on the anniversary of the October 7th massacre. Go ahead.
We did not act enough. We did not act enough. We did not act enough. Repeat after me. We did not act enough. If we acted enough, the headline behind me would read, Gaza has been liberated. So our work is not done. We must show up. Stronger than we did the first October 7th. Louder than we did the first October 7th. Make it clear that we are not going anywhere. We will keep fighting until Palestine is free. From the river to the sea. Our lifetime. Make some noise.
Make some noise. What's the Harvard Code of Conduct for students? Are you allowed to call for more October 7th, louder and stronger than the last October 7th? In other words, he wants more massacres of women and children and elderly people and families burned alive. That's what happened on October 7th. And Harvard grad student Abdullah Alki is calling for more October 7th. How is that not incitement to violence? How does that not at least get you expelled? How does that not get your visa revoked? How is that okay? I'd love to know. How is that okay in America today? By the way, if you're just listening, a huge Hamas flag waving right in front of them, a terrorist organization. How is that different from somebody 2 years after 9/11 calling for more 9/11s and waving an Al-Qaeda flag? How's that different? Why is that not incitement to violence? Someone has to explain that to me. All right, before we go, we got to get to my favorite Democrat. I'm hoping the next governor of California, this absolute lunatic. And she was almost governor, she almost senator. She ran against Adam Schiff, lost. But she, as we showed you yesterday, she can't handle a friendly interview with a CBS reporter, can't handle follow-up questions. This is just the most miserable, nasty, ugly woman. And she is running for governor. Hell, she's one of the favorites to succeed Gavin Newsom, which means, it's California. This wouldn't happen anywhere else. She's just the least likable, most unpleasant person you've ever seen. The stories are legendary. She dumped boiling water on her, a boiling pot of potatoes on her husband, her ex-husband, who has pointed out there's some just amazing stuff coming out. In the divorce, he said that she told their kids that he was a bad guy, and their kids spit on him as a result. She poisoned their minds against him. I mean, he married that. I had to question his judgment. He consummated. He had children with this beast. But there's stuff. It's great watching all this stuff come out about Katie Porter and the way she treats people. Is this the clip where one of her aides got in the shot? I love this.
No, this was the other one about her daughter.
Get the one where she yells at her intern or aide who walks behind her in one of these Zoom calls she's on, and she just snaps. Unfortunately, we got to bleep it, but just goes off, and you just wonder what's she like when the camera is off. This is hilarious. You can see the aide walk behind her and watch how she reacts. Go ahead.
And other problems, and the state could lose. Get out of my fucking shot.
I wanted to tell you that that's actually incorrect. It's not that it's elected officials. It's that if we don't meet the commitments under the Paris Climate Accord.
Okay, it does. Okay, you also were in my shop before that.
Again, you're supposed to be a likability factor with politicians. You're supposed to say, I'd like to have a beer with them. I can't imagine being on an elevator with this nasty woman, and yet she's hoping to be the next governor of our biggest state. I don't think it's going to work. I think people are finding out the truth about her, and she's she's a liar and just a miserable person. Here she is on CNN after the Dobbs decision, after Roe v. Wade, and her big concern. And I will say, watching this, listening to this, she's not just a bad person, a bad boss, a bad wife. She's a bad mother. Listen how she talks about her 12-year-old daughter.
So on election night, I went to pick up my daughter from water polo practice, and she's 12, and she got in the car and she was crying. And I said, did someone punch you? Like, water polo is a rough sport. I was like, did someone hit you? Did the coach yell at you? What happened? And she said, Mom, Trump won. Trump's going to win. And what if I get raped and I need to have an abortion? This is from my 12-year-old daughter. And so it was really a reminder of how scary this time is for people, and how important it is for Democrats to have strategies, both at the state level and the federal level, to make sure that we can continue to protect people's rights.
Well, I hope she's lying. She's probably lying. But if she's not, that's your fault, lady. You put that thought in her head. A 12-year-old who's supposed to be just playing with her friends, playing water polo, and she is in tears because of the election, because she might get raped and impregnated, and Trump won't let her get an abortion. She's 12. God, what? You got to do better. Even California Democrats have to do better than that person. You want that person. That she just must be just such a peach behind the scenes. Can't imagine a guy married that. People work for that absolute monster. But all right, that will do it for today. We'll be waiting. We'll be watching. I'm still waiting to hear from Ayanna Pressley and AOC and Ilhan Omar. See how happy they are that we have a ceasefire. After demanding for 2 years, we have a ceasefire. Nothing yet. Nothing. Maybe they're late sleepers. They haven't heard the news that Trump has made this historic deal. But it'll be fascinating to watch. If it actually happens and the hostages come home, everybody is going to have to stand and applaud. As much as it hurts, Ayanna, AOC, you're going to have to stand and applaud because it is indeed historic. But that will do it for today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'm Gerry Callahan. This is The Callahan Show, and we will do it again tomorrow morning.
And what crime has he committed that would warrant his arrest? What crime has Governor Newsom committed?
A crime has he committed?
Yeah, to warrant his arrest, as you had suggested earlier.
I think his primary crime is running for governor because he's done such a bad job